live for Monday, June 24th, 2024, with special in-studio guest Travis Eriksen. Bum, 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 bum.
Who's the guy who can conquer death? That's Joe Hills. He plays for Nashville when he plays Minecraft. That's Joe Hills. That's Joe Hills.
The summer is past, but your days keep growing longer. There's no wind in your sails, but the storm's blowing stronger. Walking hard, standing tall, keeping your head up through it all. Fighting fires, spinning plates. Goodness, how did it get so late? Lay your head down and dream. Lay your head down and lay your head down and dream. Lay your head down and just let your mind flow downstream. Sprawled out in a moonbeam. Lay your head down and dream. Joe Hills is filmed before a live streaming audience.
That's us! Howdy, y'all. Joe Hills here, recording as I always do from Nashville, Tennessee. And tonight, y'all are my live streaming audience. I also have a live studio audience, as well as an in-studio guest, Child Play Charity's Executive Director, Travis Eriksen. Let's see if we can get that signal. Let's tune it in. Ooh.
It's coming.
Travis, I think I can see you. So one of the things that people are always like really surprised about when I have people in the studio is they're like, is this person really in the studio? Can you hand me that train whistle?
I can.
Ta-da!
I did.
Woo! The Travis Eriksen train has arrived, people. Travis is the executive director of Child's Play Charity. Could you kind of give us the quick elevator pitch of what is Child's Play Charity? And we'll get into executives and directing later.
All the fancy stuff later?
Yeah, the fancy stuff.
Sure.
I know what a charity is. I know what play is. And I've occasionally seen a child. But what does it mean when you put it all together?
So Child's Play Charity is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, charity connected to the gaming space. And I love that our charity was started wholly out of spite.
Spite charity. So, I gotta say, this is already... people who are here, they're like, ooh, are we gonna comply maliciously too?
Yes.
Only if it helps others.
Only to help the kids. So back in 2003, our founders are Gabe and Tycho, the Penny Arcade guys. And it was one of those times when games and gaming were in the news as negatives, and only negative things were being said about gamers, and had a local editorial write about how games were murder simulators teaching people to murder. And they went, that's not us, that's not our fans. Hey everybody, let's collect some toys for Seattle Children's and try and make a big enough donation that this newspaper has to come cover it.
And for those of you who are not native English speakers, when somebody says Seattle Children's, the implied absent noun is Seattle Children's Hospital.
Yes,
okay.
Seattle Children's Hospital.
International audience.
And so they did in just over 2 weeks collected $750,000 worth of toys.
Woo.
Made the donation, got the newspaper to cover it, and got the guy who wrote the editorial to write a second editorial that maybe gamers aren't bad, and they do some good things too. And from there, we have grown. Now Child's Play, 21 years later, supports nearly 200 children's hospitals all over the globe.
21, that's this many.
That's a lot of
lot
beads.
of many, yeah.
So we support nearly 200 children's hospitals all across the globe. So we're in across the U.S. and Canada. We're in the Ireland, UK, the Ireland.
I was gonna say
the Ireland.
The Ireland. See, you've
The
been
one
there,
and only.
and I haven't. I'm like, oh man, if I go over there and I just say Ireland, are they gonna say, Sonny, you missing an article there? Are
It's
you?
the Ireland.
It's the Ireland.
So the UK, we just added our first hospital in Scotland this year.
Oh, fantastic.
But we're in Kenya, we're in Egypt, we're in India, we're in Australia and New Zealand. So we're all over the globe, and our focus is to help get games and technology into children's hospitals so they have gaming systems and games to play, and then also a real focus on teaching the staff inside the hospital on how to use games as an intentional part of therapy. So not just as a distraction, but how to integrate gaming into the healing process.
So we have not prepped for this interview. And so I might embarrass myself here or embarrass you. I don't know. So, like, the hospital we visited today, we saw that you funded a grant for a new technologist position. And so can you explain, like, why that person needs... Why do we need a gaming technology specialist in a children's hospital?
Yeah, so we started in 2015, 2016. We started doing some visits to our partner hospitals 13 years after we started, but hey, we got in there. And the thing that we noticed when we did those visits was that access to technology was not the limiting factor anymore. Back in 2003, getting GameCubes and Xboxes and PS2s in was big. That was really important. But by 2015, 2016, access was not the limiting factor. It was really the knowledge on how to use games as just any part of what they were doing. The child life staff that we support is the team inside the hospital responsible for taking care of the kids at their emotionally appropriate developmental level. So they're helping them stay on track with school. They're teaching them, what their diagnoses means. Doctors will be explaining it in big doctor words, right? But this is the person who is there to break it down to the child. But they're also there to help normalize their life and get them playing and give them that opportunity to be a kid while they are still in the hospital.
And that's the broader child life specialist role, not our
game tech specific. And
Okay.
and the catch is their training is not in games and technology. That's generally not their background. If you've never been in a children's hospital, I liken a child life specialist to a second or third grade teacher who wants to love and take care of kids and help them get better and make their life better. But if you were to give them a VR headset and say, hey, with this VR headset, while you teach the kids about Egypt, you could take them to the pyramids virtually. They'd be really excited, but it would sit in a corner because they wouldn't know how to use it.
Well, so that actually leads me to my actual question, where I'm realizing as an interviewer, I should maybe never ask a question I don't know the answer to. But, when you're listing all these international places, you're saying, we're in Kenya, we're in Egypt, we're in the Ireland. Are those places that you're just shipping GameCubes, or maybe more these days Nintendo Wii U's or Switches, or are those places that you're actually also funding these grant positions and training?
So we have some of these positions there. So we started in 2017. We had someone come to us because we found one hospital, CS Mott in Ann Arbor, Michigan, had a guy who was a child life specialist, but also was a gamer, and his role kind of shifted to taking care of games and managing their systems and all those things. And we had another partner hospital come to us and say, we want one of those. How do we do that? We need it, because the child life specialists were the ones who are responsible for doing things like keeping the Xboxes updated and helping connect controllers. And when we would go visit, we'd find that they didn't even know how to sync a controller if it got out of sync or was brand new to the Xbox or the PlayStation. And so things just sat. And there wasn't the knowledge there. So we said, I don't know, write us a grant. And what if we paid for a person? And that was our first sample at the Children's Hospital of Colorado. They put in the grant, and we funded a role to have a person whose job became taking care of all the gaming. And that was originally kind of the idea, but these roles have grown to substantially more than that. Once there's a person there, the need is so great inside the hospitals that they're doing VR and AR things. So they're not just updating systems now, but doing VR and AR with therapists, helping design games for kids to play while they're in the hospital, 3D printing and modeling and all those kinds of things. So lots of really cool uses of games and tech, and they've been when you talk to hospitals, the saving grace, because it is the new need, and there just isn't. This career didn't exist before we started funding them.
Yeah, I found, as somebody who worked as a web developer when I first got out of college in 2008, that the idea of a company having a webmaster, or, like that was kind of one of
Right.
those things where it's like, hey, you also need to replace people's mice when they break, and we need to run new Ethernet cable through the drop ceiling, and also, do you know how to write a database? Can you learn? It's anything with a computer ended up being kind of the computer guy's job.
Yes.
And so it sounds like with gaming, this is one of those things where the hospitals are realizing as they bring these folks in that the amount of work is more of a gas than a liquid. It's not just conforming to fit the shape of the container, but also the size of it.
Yes.
So how are you guys dealing with that? How are you helping your technologists kind of make sure that they're keeping up?
So we have a handful of support systems in place for them. Child's Play's funded now since 2017. We funded 48 of these game techs that have been funded by Child's Play, but we've also found a handful of hospitals that have started this role on their own, and actually a few. Well, I guess one. A few's not more than one. So one other charity in the space who is helping fund these roles. So Dunkin' Joy, it's the philanthropic arm of Dunkin' Donuts, is funding these roles also. So
not Duncan's toy box from Home Alone.
No.
Okay.
And so they are. With these roles, they're still very often the one here at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital will be the only person doing this at the hospital. So we don't want them to feel like they're all alone in this space. So we have a handful of supports in place. We do a Slack channel that's super active that we have along with our 48. I think our total game tech count in that Slack is I think it's like 67. I want to say 67, 68 people who are doing this role now. So
and you said about over 40 of those 67 are funded through your grant programs,
yes.
At least initially or currently?
Initially, yeah. So Child's Play does the grant. We cover this role for salary and benefits for 2 years. And so far, we are still sitting at 100% conversion with these roles, where once the grant funding and the grant time period has run out, the hospital has seen such an impact in the import of this role that they have figured out how to put it into their actual payroll and funding.
Well, and I think it's great that this sounds like a role where these people are interfacing with the rest of the Child Life staff for 2 years. So the rest of the Child Life staff has 2 years to realize that when that grant money is up, their boss is going to try and give them that work.
Yeah, everything goes away, and
they're
I
going
got to do
to
it.
be like, I still, no, we have a guy who connects controllers.
Yeah,
Keep that guy.
There's a new console coming out. I don't want to learn it also.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I will say, like, I know how to connect controllers, but that doesn't mean it's something that I think it doesn't come naturally to me. Every time I have to do it, I'm like, oh, where is this in the menu? Having somebody who does that frequently enough that they're just in the groove with it. They're not even thinking about it. They're busy thinking about the AR VR system they're setting up later in the day, or the 3D printer, and they're just on autopilot setting up the controllers. That's a great situation to be in for the hospital and for the kids.
Yeah, and it lets the child life specialists spend more time doing what they're trained to do with kids instead of trying to Google how to fix a broken Xbox, how to update a PlayStation that says it needs an update.
Yeah, how can I tell if the Xbox is broken?
Yeah,
how can I tell
turning on, and I don't know what that means.
Yeah, what's up with this updater? Is this the hospital's network? Is this something wrong with Sony? I will say, Travis has been a really good sport about wearing this green screen shirt, but I'm sweating in this tank top.
It's getting warm.
If you would like to take that off, you are welcome to toss that over here. Once again, illustrating that this is a human person
real life.
physically in the room.
I'll set it here, just
Okay.
in case. I
Yeah,
need
in
to disappear.
case you need it later.
In case
Yeah.
I need a quick exit.
I tried to give Travis my fallback tank top, but I don't know if you can tell, he's a lot more built than me, and this was not gonna suit him. So, sorry. I should have warned you. Hey, here's the tank top you're gonna want. It gets hot in there.
If I had, like I said when I got here, had I been thinking, I would have worn my latest Child's Play shirt that's all green, and then I just have the Child's Play logo floating. Instead, my Child's Play logo
Well,
is
actually, the Child's
disappearing.
Play logo is showing up pretty well.
It shows
there.
up all right. It just disappears.
Yeah. I can see the Minecraft sky, but that's more fun.
Yeah.
Right. You know, people ask me like, Joe, are your glasses see-through? And I'm like, well, they wouldn't be much use otherwise. Yeah. But anyway, so let's see.
Oh, I see a scare cards question.
Yeah.
About a German hospital. Yes, we have 2 game techs that we connect and work with that are in German hospitals. I am not going to even pretend to get their names right now on stream. Because 200 hospitals is a lot to remember, and the international ones get even trickier with names. But if you want to send an email to info@childsplaycharity.org, I will see it and be able to get to it. Next week, I'm traveling all this week to not only visit here, I get to leave tomorrow to go visit another hospital we did a grant to, and then a third hospital a little bit later this week that actually got the Duncan Joy grant, but to help them on board and sort out how they get their new game tech going.
And just to read Scare Cards' question for the folks in the other chats, Scare Cards, I don't know if I can do a good German accent, so I'll try my best. I am a German camera drone pilot, and I was often thinking about giving childs who are in our local children palliative care unit a VR headset and fly for them with my drone over the city. I was never able to reach someone to get the permission for that, but man, are you the one who is able to do such a thing for your kids? Please, man, think about it. And then he adds, my power bank is dying. Well, yeah, so info@childsplaycharity.org is where you need to email. But yeah, that seems like the sort of thing that, your technologists locally are going to be coordinating. I know you're doing stuff with 3D printers and you're doing stuff with VR and AR. Do you have anything in the works that you can talk about with drones, or is that kind of undiscovered country?
We haven't had a lot with drones. We have had let's see, I believe, so this was a couple years ago, but I believe it was Methodist Children's Hospital in San Antonio when they were building their new tower. They had drone pilots come through and do drone tours of the tower for patients.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they also have in San Antonio a drone racing, the like the crazy fast zipping drone racing clubs. And so they did some racing through the tower during construction as well.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I would I don't personally fly drones, but yeah, that's a great way to share something that you really enjoy if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Jeff the Talking Mongoose has a question for Travis. Is it only for kids in the main hospital, or does it extend to places like behavioral health units too? I'm not sure I know what a behavioral health unit is.
So that unit inside the hospital is sometimes separate from the main hospital, and sometimes referred to as an outpatient part. But yes, we cover any part of our children's hospitals, any part of their support that has child life is also inside as part of our support as well. So if their behavioral health unit has their child life team in it, which just to be safe, I'll say 99% of them do. I'm sure there's one somewhere that would be like, we don't have that part. But most of them do. And so they also have our funds used towards systems available for them in there as well.
Mailman Dave 152 in the Discord says, in the United States, if the hospital has a helipad, using drones near it might be a legal concern. That's fair, but when I'm thinking about it, and in Nashville, people fly drones at Centennial Park, which is where we have our Parthenon, and that's only 2 miles away from the hospital. I don't know if you had a team of 2 people, like one person in the park and one person at the hospital, you might be able to kind of relay that experience somehow. There might be a way to do it.
That would be the drone technology that I would know. But I'm sure there must be a way to stream the drone longer, farther than just across the block.
Yeah, and well, and the other thing too is a lot of hospitals these days have internal closed circuit television channels where they can kind of show things on the TVs in the hospital. So, like, if they hooked up that drone camera to their closed circuit television feed, everybody in the hospital could watch it. Now, that might not be as immersive as enjoying the VR and
VR
AR
headset, but yeah.
But I mean, there's a huge benefit to a lot of kids being able to enjoy it at once versus just one person,
Part of that just depends on how the drone operator setup is.
Yeah, and that's outside my area of expertise.
Same here, but getting it, I mean
that's the sort of thing that
it does illustrate the problem of why game techs are so needed.
Why do you need
a
this
person
job?
who could drive that? Because if you just said, "I want to fly a drone and show kids stuff," they kind of be like, "Is this a real thing? Mm-hmm. And how does it work?"
Well, and I will say, one of our hosts at the hospital today shared with us that at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, they used to have, before COVID, 600 volunteers in their rotation. And after COVID, during COVID, it dropped, and they're at 200 now. And I said, well, did the need contract as well because of COVID? Like, okay, yeah, we lost 400, but we also need fewer than before. And she was like, no. We still need 600. We're 400 short. So that's another thing I want to encourage people too is, if you find yourself with more time than money and you're looking for something to do, we were randomly getting on an elevator and we ran into a volunteer who knew one of our other tour guides. And apparently she was working as a researcher in one of the other medical towers. I don't know if you caught the abbreviation, but like
I didn't catch. Yeah.
Well, so that's the thing is because I've been in Nashville so long and I've met so many people who it's like, oh, I know where she works.
Okay.
And so like, yeah, she's working as a researcher full time, but you know what? Like as a way to unwind, like I think, it makes sense to me, that like sometimes if you have a job where you're seeing long-term results very slowly over time, it might be rewarding to have a hobby where you're helping people and seeing immediate impact. I mean, she didn't talk about this, but this is, it's like, this makes sense to me. This is the sort of person that would still be coming by,
do this. Yeah.
And like, so that's something too that I wanted to make sure that we mentioned today is that there might be all sorts of opportunities to help in your local hospitals that you don't have to be a drone pilot for. They might just want people to go read to kids or all sorts of stuff.
And they won't have, most of them, we're only at, like I said, 60, less than 70 that Child's Play has collected and connected with. And we're working really hard to collect all of them that aren't ones that are funded by us. Mm-hmm. But they all the hospitals, if you have a children's hospital near you, will have some kind of volunteer program. And getting in the door, they might just start you off with things like, please wipe down these toys for us, which is an important thing that they need to get done. Mm-hmm. Disinfect the toys, disinfect the games, and those kinds of things. But once you're in the door there, making the offer of, well, hey, you know what? While I'm here, I see you have an Xbox. Would you like me to look at it and see if it needs anything, or the PlayStation? Because if you just volunteered and said, I want to take care of your games, they might not.
Well, I was going to say
they might not go. They're like, I don't know.
Part of the reason that you have a technologist role, though, is because network access is restricted at a lot of these hospitals.
Yeah.
I know a lot about networks. I was the computer guy for a few different companies early on in my career, and I know enough to say, like, if I'm not authorized to connect to the network, I shouldn't be messing with those devices, But the thing is, though, there might be other opportunities, though, that aren't just like messing with the consoles. Like they were talking about how they have an intern who is organizing Mario Kart tournaments for the kids, and stuff like that, where you can organize a tournament, and things like that without needing any sort of special privileges or things like that. Scarecard says, please link the website. It's pinned at the top, childsplaycharity.org/about. I can post the link again, though, because I'm I'm in the presence of the executive director of a charity, so I should be generous with my time as I'm encouraging you. So yeah, we'll post this in all three. Mailman Dave can enjoy that.
There we go.
On their Discord chat. I did want to say thank you to Lost Cult Music as well for our first tip of the stream. Tip in 3, who says new in studio guest. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Lost Cult Music. I'm not going to be banging the tipping drum too hard tonight because that's not really the goal of this stream. But because I know that somebody's going to ask if I don't type it out now. Let's just put that in there. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. Is the setting up stream done? You know,
we hope so.
I hope so. We've got a little checklist here. If you'll indulge me for a moment, this will give you a chance to have a sip of your drink, and let's play that song.
$8:30 p.m. the usual streaming setup.
Turn on the lights, make sure they're bright and gleam. Title and tweet, pour water, tank topic, chroma. OBS seems all set, so I click start the stream, and so I'll pause, fold in, and open VLC. I'll pick 2 songs before lay your head down and dream. I'll say that's us too, y'all. Joe Hills from Tennessee. Folks asking when will my stream begin? After how the items and chest tools break in. Pickaxe from proof while talking to you professional Minecrafter here, there's no mistaking. So I'll click crafting quick and build time in chat pick, then I'll replace the books in random chests with care. I'll tour my winery, I'm sure there's blocks somewhere, and then I'll hush and hush, hush and hush, Jack swears, not any closer to recording. Folks keep asking and asking and asking and asking, when will my stream begin? Seriously, y'all, I need to record this next episode I've been working toward. I can't edit without footage, no. Once I'm all geared up, maybe we can start the show. All right, maybe we can start the show. Let's take down that setting up stream sign. It's up. I'm all confused about the camera.
Directions.
I'll find it. No, I won't. It's gone. Okay, whatever. Next problem. So yeah, thank you to everybody for joining us this fantastic Monday evening here in Tennessee. If you are just coming in, we've got Travis Erikson, the executive director of Child's Play Charity, and we've got all sorts of different facets of this we could talk about. You know, one thing that I noticed that was very different on this visit than my last visit to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital was when we went with the Gamers Outreach people. And maybe they requested this, but we spoke with a lot of clinicians and people who worked with the kids directly, who kind of were giving us like anecdotes and testimonials about like how the carts get used. And I noticed on this tour it was a lot more focused on facilities, but you know, I'm guessing that's probably par for the course with the sorts of when you guys do these visits, are you mostly just looking at the facilities and not talking to the clinicians?
We will if the clinicians are available, and that's how they set up. I think because this one was there, you know, we got to do the check presentation and give them the big giant check to say, you know, here's the funding for this role. They were ready to show off sort of here's what this person will be diving into and what they'll be taking care of.
Yeah, it was a survey of where will this person be spending their time and how will they be spending it. Like, it was really cool seeing the 3D printer they've got set up. It was, oh gosh, I wrote it down.
It was the MakerBot.
Something.
The small MakerBot one.
But it looked really cool. I haven't actually gotten to play with those things too much myself. But, you know, like having a like the teacher who has the 3D printer was talking about how... basically, it's like, well, we have the 3D printer, and it replaces this old one, and I knew how the old one works, and I haven't had time to learn how the new one
Haven't
works
learned the
yet.
new one.
And it's just like, okay, well, that's great. This technologist can come in and learn all that stuff and teach you the parts you need to know, and also say, hey, page me if you need me. I think they still use pagers in some hospitals. I don't know.
They use a paging system, most of them, on a internal phone.
Well, the verb page,
the page
still works.
still
Yeah.
pings out. Yes,
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody loves the Page Master, that Macaulay Culkin film that wasn't as good as Home Alone. So, it's good that hospitals are celebrating that.
keeping it alive.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's really kind of exciting to hear. Like, they were talking about how, like, one child had they were having a heart surgery, and they asked, like, can you print a 3D scan of my heart? And the teacher was like, that seemed like a problem we might be able to solve.
we could
but
do, but I don't know how.
We didn't. There wasn't time to figure out how to do it. But that's where they want to go, is like being able to show kids, like, hey, they're going to be putting this inside of you. Here's a 3D print of it that you can keep and put on your keychain or bring home to show you kids at school. Hey, this is like what it looks like, the thing they put in me, or this is what they removed from me.
Yeah,
or,
we've seen some really neat things with 3D printers that again, our role started as kind of just, we need help with our Nintendos and our Xboxes and our PlayStations, but has grown so much because a 3D printer gets donated or things like that. And so we've had our game techs do some, they refer to it in the hospital space as medical play. And it is toys used as teaching tools about what your procedures will be, all those kinds of things that are coming. And so medical play around particularly devices that get implanted into your body are really hard, because devices that get implanted into your body are really expensive.
Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, we've got this
here's one,
extra
we'll
thing.
show it to you and let you play with it, and then we'll stick it in you tomorrow. It doesn't really work. It needs to be disinfected and stayed sterile and all those kinds of things.
Oh yeah.
And
that reminds me, like, one time I went on this NASA tour down in Huntsville, and they had this thing that was going to be part of the SLS, and they're like, this is space flight approved hardware. It has been inspected, it's going to be installed, and it's going to space. You can lean over it to take a picture, but do not drop your phone on it.
Don't exhale.
Don't drop your... Like, the whole reason we're bringing you guys in here to look at this stuff is to get cool pictures. Get cool pictures. Do not drop. Yeah.
Let's see, it's in the YouTube chat. Jeff the Talking Moose said, this sort of reminds me of this company I've seen that 3D prints medical devices for building a bear, for Build-A-Bears or similar plush toys. That's the exact idea, but with our game techs. Some of them, not all of them, are 3D modeling specialists, but some of them have that as a passion, and we'll do just that and model up. And so one of our favorite stories, and something we printed a ton of these and sent them to all of our partner hospitals last year in our annual gift, Christmas and July gift that we sent them, is a port. And so a medical port is something that is put in you and inserted under your skin so that they can continually put a needle there to disperse medicine to you instead of having to always stick a vein.
I just saw the film The Matrix with my daughter. They were doing a 25th anniversary showing at the theater. And yeah, so if y'all have seen The Matrix, there's like on their arms, they've got those ports. It's basically the same.
It's basically that, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had, at this particular hospital, a 17-year-old boy who was supposed to get a port and was refusing. I will not until I can see one, have one, hold one. And the port is about the size of a quarter, maybe 4 quarters stacked, internationally about the size of a pound coin. It's not very big, but it is over $10,000. You can't touch
just
it ahead of time.
Hand it to the kid.
We can't have a play with. And so the game tech just quickly got the dimensions, modeled it up inside a 3D software, and printed him a handful of them at 3 cents a piece or whatever
Yeah.
the filament costs, and said, here, this is what it looks like, this is what's going in, you can have one, you can show it to your friends, you can do whatever. And so we 3D printed a handful of those for each of our GIF boxes that we sent, so that they could have them as a teaching tool, but also to help give them an idea. So we had a note to go along with it of, this is 3D printed, here's where you can get that file if you have a 3D printer and want to make more of these, but here's why you might consider getting a 3D printer. So we have that for a trach to go in to help with breathing, and then having the ability to, in software, scale that up or down so that it matches the size of a toy. That then you could say, we'll install this port into your stuffed lion so that you can see the port in there, and they have one like you do. Is a really cool way to make that happen.
So, Ariathalium says, even as a chronically ill adult, that sounds super cool, not gonna lie. I mean, I will say, as an adult who, if they were like, hey, we're gonna put this thing inside you, I would be curious. I would
see it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they tell me I gotta do it to not die, I'm gonna say yes either way. But, I mean, I'm a curious person by nature. I think this is pretty cool. And, you know, so like, when one game tech in one hospital works on something like this, it sounds like they share a lot of that information.
Yes, yeah. So that's
hospitals.
across the Slack channel that we have. We also do with our game techs. We drifted away from this part, but with our game techs, we do weekly calls with them. That is just a chance, because generally speaking, the game tech is the only person in their hospital doing this role. It's a chance for them to kind of have a weekly meeting with their career peers and talk about what they're doing and problems they're having and solutions they've come up with and things like that, and share cool 3D printed files that they've made.
Yeah, because this isn't something like, you know, a lot of bars might have a service worker night, and everybody, all the waiters and waitresses go and hang out and they commiserate. But there might only be one of these for 200 miles.
There's one in Tennessee. Soon there'll be one in Tennessee, and it's the only one. The closest one, I think, is Kentucky.
Yeah, and so this is really important for people to be able to kind of not only share experiences that are positive and like be like, hey guys, I figured out this is a cool solution, but also to share, like, you know, I keep getting frustrated by this, because then maybe somebody else will go, you know, I ran into that problem too, but I've been trying this and I've seen some mixed results, and somebody else goes, well, have you adjusted it this way?
And then it worked, and here's how we solved it.
And then you know, it gets people kind of cross-pollinating the ideas. So that's really cool that you're not just saying, hey, here's a check, fire and forget, you know, we're hire and forget, I guess.
Hire and forget.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, no, we want them to stay connected to us, to stay connected to each other. We actually started a certificate program for this that we are in our inaugural class. I'm actually missing class tonight to be here.
Are you missing the inaugural class?
No,
here?
This is we are well into the class.
Okay, because I was gonna say, is there a Zoom link for this class? Can we go call
crash in?
Can we? Howdy, y'all! Joe Hill's here. I got your boss. I know you're not actually their boss. I got Travis.
I got your money.
We're just down in Tennessee enjoying some sun drop. Cheers.
They're actually having a presentation from Able Gamers tonight, another charity that we're friendly with.
Yeah,
in
I've talked to
space.
them at some of the PAXs.
Yeah, they're a charity that helps anybody who cannot game in the standard able-bodied gaming fashion with, you know, keyboard and mouse or standard controller setup. They'll help build, design and build accessible controllers, help teach them how to use accessible controllers. And so for us, with our game techs, it's really important that they understand the ability of adaptive controllers and adaptive play. And we know a little bit about it, but we don't want to pretend to be the specialists when Able Gamers is our friend, and we can say, hey, here are the actual experts.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing, though, is a lot of success in life. This is one of the like, you know, I know you got some kids who might be looking at whether or not they want to go to college soon. Hopefully they do. But I will say I didn't really see the point of college when I was in high school. I was like, I don't want to do more of this school stuff. This is nonsense. But I had the good fortune to study in Nashville, and some of the professors there were involved with like the civil rights movement. And one of the things that I learned was like the importance of kind of building coalitions across groups. It's not like trying to have every group be the best at everything or whatever. That's a like you figure out where your niche is, and then you find other leaders and other groups where they've got their niches, and you say, where can we help you? Where can you help us? Like let's try and find ways to amplify each other's strengths and diminish each other's weaknesses. And so that's really cool seeing you guys working with Able Gamers. You mentioned to me at dinner that you guys have also worked with Gamers Outreach. Some of our viewers might be familiar with them from the charity events we've done. Because like you don't probably have a lot of experience building gaming carts.
No, it's funny, as we've brought on new team members. So Child's Play's team, we're very small. We are a team of 6 total, 5.5 FTE. We have a half-time
What's
controller.
FTE? Full-time
employee.
See, I was like, I feel like I remember that term from back at like my full-time job days, but oh man, business jargon is one of the first things I lost.
The first thing to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, almost everyone who has come on board is sort of like, boy, we're spending a lot of money at Gamers Outreach buying carts. Why don't we just make our own carts? Would that be more cost efficient? And then I have to remind them that we'd have to learn how to manufacture them and find a manufacturer and find a model and production and shipping and storing. And you know what? They do that. Let's just buy their carts. They're really good.
Well, and at the same time, they're not funding technologist positions. And they're not training people how to do that sort of thing in the hospitals at this level.
Yeah, it
with
is
this amount of coordination.
Yeah, it's a nice connected partnership with them, friendship with them. Same with Able Gamers and things like that. Yeah, we definitely know that we have our expertise in some spaces, and they have theirs expertise in others. And when we come together, like Voltron, we become stronger together. We don't need to do it all as one. I guess we'd be the Green Lion.
Good Times with Scar says, "Hey Travis,
hey,
you know what? Scar, Travis has headphones. You can come by if you like." And I will say, one of the upgrades for the studio I have been wanting to do for a while, I finally did that this weekend, was I actually bought a headphone amplifier. So that basically serves as an additional like powered headphone splitter with multiple volume knobs and stuff. So our in-studio audience can hear Scar too. When I've gone to conventions and stuff, there was an event called Tennessee Game Days where I played decked out from the hotel, and I had people behind me watching, like kind of on a separate monitor like this.
But they couldn't hear any of the clank or...
Yeah, they couldn't hear the clank. They couldn't hear the Ravagers. Tango, I think, was talking to me at one point, and I'm talking back to Tango, and they're just smiling and nodding, and I'm like, I need to go get this headphone amplifier thing, because you can only get so far with splitters. But like this amplifier, I can now plug like... Even it's got like 4 headphone ports on it, but each of those I can plug a couple splitters into, and then all of a sudden we're up to like 8 or 16. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that sort of thing on the road in the future. So yeah, so we'll see if Scar actually comes by. He might actually be busy, but we have the option. That is something I am actually prepared for. Pay Me to Throw says, didn't want to use speakers. You don't. Like, so my fiance is an audio engineer, and if my fiance was on site at an event like that to like set up the speakers and the audience, like you have to position the whole room so that it's not feeding back.
Yeah, so it doesn't bounce back into your mic.
Yeah, it basically is beyond my talent. And realistically, there's going to be some shows I go to where my fiance will not be there, and so this is the most elegant solution. And this is for like, hey, we've got a hotel conference room with 16 people sitting around watching me play decked out. If I was on stage at PAX, they would have an audio
all
guy.
Of that stuff.
That would be sorted, right? Like it's funny because like during the Vintage Beef interview, I couldn't. They were like, as soon as the music ends, go ahead and jump right into your interview. And I couldn't hear the music really from where we were on stage. I just kind of saw that the crowd all kind of like leaned forward.
Crowd went, it's
the music's done. I'm like,
Music's off.
Music's
Hello,
on.
welcome.
Hey, howdy y'all? Joe Hill's here. We got vintage beef. Let's see if I can avoid embarrassing myself. But Travis, also thank you for coming out to that. You were actually in the audience during that event.
Yeah, it was really cool to hear more about how the game was developed, and especially the making of it is the fun behind the scenes of hearing how to get the cards printed and everything else.
Yeah, like I know that we had said we were going to try and I was expecting we were going to run short on the card thing and we were going to switch over to talking about the charity stuff. So sorry for baiting and switching you. It was in the program. We were going to talk a little bit about the charity things HermitCraft had done too, but yeah, that ended up
the whole audience was super into the game and the development of it, and hearing Beef's stories of even just the production side was super cool.
Well, and I want to say, I don't think you realized it at the time, but well, let me roll back a little bit. Before I talk about my experience watching Travis at PAX, I'm going to say one thing that I didn't mention when I introduced Travis Erikson. I have executive director of Child's Play up here in this guest thing, but maybe we should add another line here. Also, what do you call somebody who runs the Omegathon?
I'm the chief Omega Tech.
Chief. That's an IE. I can spell your name correctly, but I can't spell chief. Omega Tech. So, can you tell us a little bit about what the Omegathon is at PAX? And were you there from the beginning?
Yes, I've been actually running the Omegathon since the 2004 first PAX in the Maidenbauer Center, in the small little Maidenbauer Center in Seattle, or at least assisting with it that year. So I come to Child's Play with a background. I was a middle school teacher for 15 years.
Thank you for your service.
And I love it. I still miss them. They're wonderful, weird little people. But friends with Mike and Jerry, so when they were putting their first packs together, I was like, cool, I'll help you put together this cool gaming LAN party thing. That sounds neat.
Yeah.
And went to round one of the Omegathon because it sounded really cool. And it was well before Mike and Jerry had any kind of crowd presence. They were just guys behind a screen that didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
And they were trying to take over a console free play space to do a Mario Kart Double Dash tournament.
Yeah.
And people were playing Double Dash, and people were crowding in to see, and the 20 contestants were there to try and play. It was just a mess.
Yeah.
And they had no crowd presence. And so me, as a middle school teacher, went, well, I can step in and save my friends, right?
Yeah,
They're clearly drowning in people and not knowing what to do.
Attention, gamers!
Exactly. Hey, y'all, I need you over here. I need you there. Sit down. This is it. You guys need to get off these games right now. We do need to use them for the next little bit. Thank you. Step over here. Do this. We'll get it all going. And so I was just the crowd wrangler for them at the first one. And then when it was all done, I just continued to go to every round after that and help them because they were drowning in people at every round. So it was hey, nope, back off. Come on, let them have this happen. And at year two, after year one, in chatting with them, I went, if you're going to do that again, I'll happily help you. I'll officially help you with that, as opposed to just being your friend there who is yelling at people.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for you, I'm sure, to actually be like, okay, if I organize this from scratch, I have to do a lot less yelling because I can be like, oh, let's get some cones
here
and some
set
other
up.
stuff.
Yep. And now, let's see, this is 20 years of PAX now that I've been doing this.
Wow.
And so, yes, so the Omegathon is I randomly call 20 people who bought their tickets to PAX and invite them to be part of the Omegathon. 20 people is optimistic. I call hundreds of people because no one answers their phone anymore.
Well, okay.
but-
I mean, in fairness, if you guys said like, make sure to keep an whitelist this phone number or whatever.
So it is an unidentified phone number because I don't want you to call me back in the middle of me calling other people.
Yeah.
But we do
you
try
leave
and
a
announce it.
voicemail?
No, because I need to get a bunch of confirmation from you at the time on the phone.
See, you could check your records. Maybe I've declined
There may
those
be a
calls.
chance.
Because I would have loved to do the Omegathon.
But
yeah.
once we get 20 people, we run them through a random assortment of games that are not designed to be crazy, super skill-focused games.
Whoop whoop
Permit office on patrol.
whoop whoop.
That's the son of the popo. Whoop, whoop. Permit office on patrol.
Scar!
I'm just checking the sky.
Yeah, let me, I'm gonna switch us over. We're on push to talk now, but that's not ideal because I'm not gonna know when you're about to talk, right? So I'm gonna switch this over to voice activated, and we're gonna turn that threshold down quite a bit. Scar! Well, I hear his respirator. He's gotta be nearby. Scar! He's
Above, below.
I mean, he could literally be anywhere. He's very, very sneaky. Boy. Let's try going up. Maybe we'll see him up this way. No sign of... Oh, there he is. Howdy, Scar.
Hey.
Can you hear us okay? We cannot hear you. You are not transmitting if you are intending to.
The rebels are.
I'm
There
here
we go.
now.
Woo! The good times can begin.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi, Travis.
how are you?
Good.
How's the West Coast? I'm over here on the other side of the country now.
I was gonna
middle.
say I just tuned into Joe and Joe's staring. I'm like, "It's Travis in the background. What in the world?"
Yeah, Travis is here. Hey, Travis, can you hand me that abacus?
Here, have the abacus.
Oh, look at that, Scar! Look at that! Like, that was supposed to be keeping track of tips.
Oh, is that a new abacus after the other one sold for big dollars?
Yeah, after the other one went in the charity. And then I wrote the date that I bought this one on it, so I would know for the next auction.
That's
And
a
then it
smart
got
move.
rubbed off,
Oh,
even
no.
though I wrote it in Sharpie. Apparently, I had sweaty hands, sweaty enough to cut through the Sharpie. So, that's a problem for another day. But yeah, Scar, good to see you, buddy.
Oh, that's right. I was like, what was I going to ask you? And I was like, my brain was like 5 clicks behind today. Joe,
kilometers.
just got to say to your viewers and you, big congratulations on fixing your shop. You're now in good standing with the Popo. Very important.
Yay! I'm glad you like the new shop.
Yep, it's in full compliance with the current rules of the shopping district.
Woo! I'm not used to
Yeah,
not
do
having
it.
push to talk on, so I can actually dance while I talk.
You could. So, Travis, what are you doing in Nashville? What are you doing at Joe's house?
So,
That's so funny to me.
Joe and I got to hang out this morning. So, Child's Play did
Oh,
a
that's cool.
grant to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital here in Nashville for a
Nice.
gaming technology specialist role. And so I got to I got to call dibs when we were trying to figure out who was going to do check presentations. I went, wait, I know Joe. I get to claim Nashville, so I get to go on this trip. And then pinged Joe and said, hey, do you want to come to the hospital with me while we do the check presentation and see what they're doing and hear about their prep for the game tech role and everything else.
Yeah, and see, I took the pictures of the check being presented for Travis.
Yeah, I
and
needed
so
a cameraman.
Now on his website, I'm sure it's going to say photo credit Joe Hills, Master of Mysticism, or whatever. I don't know how you credit these things. Obviously, you can't mention my YouTube because that would be promotional.
Yeah, no,
The
no.
mysticism thing, that's just on the side. I feel like that's okay.
Is it like
That's a
was
local
it one of those big checks like from Happy Gilmore?
Yes.
It was.
Yeah, nice.
The funny thing about it is it was a dry erase
Yeah.
giant check.
So
they have it, and it's printed that it's made out to the hospital. Like, the hospital provided it. Which I thought you were going to bring the check
so-
because you're the one bringing the money.
that was my first thought when we started doing these check things, and I went, how are we going to fly around the country, potentially around I actually presented to Australia.
Do you have to get a
last year.
second seat
Right,
in the
I
airplane?
need a check. Hi, just don't mind me in coach class with $1 million check. It's fine.
Yeah, or like, do you have a special bag that you call your checked bag?
This is
I
my
don't know.
checked bag.
Let me go lay down so we don't get phantoms real quick. But yeah, Scar, I'll be right back. Sorry. He can still hear us. I think we're in range.
Are we within range?
I can hear you.
Ah, yes.
Way up here.
Well, we're on our way back.
But
Not very well, or effectively.
missed.
It's okay. We got 5 more.
But yes, the hospitals do have those to provide for them. But what we do that's fun as our Child's Play take on this is we actually make smaller ones, and I 3D printed a check stand out of the Child's Play logo that they can then put the check. So I gave them one that the child life director gets to have, one that when they make their hire, that game tech gets to have their check showing their worth.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, and see, I
On their
really
desk.
like that because they can have that on their desk or on their wall, and when other people are like, "Oh man, you worry about these layoffs coming up," it's like, I got a grant position, buddy.
I'm here.
You know what? I got
That
too many
was-
controllers to connect to worry about layoffs.
That
Not my
was
problem.
Very, 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 very real through COVID. Actually, lots of furloughs and layoffs at the hospital level, but our game tech positions stayed in place because they were grant funded. So lots of them made it through, and also at the same time, hospitals started doing so much more virtual meetings and all those kinds of things. They needed the person, so it was really good that they had someone there. So, but yes, that's actually a thing that becomes a bragging point.
But the thing is, the hospital had a giant printed check made out to Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital, like printed on the check, but it was a dry erase check. And so when I came in, I think he was the director of development.
Yeah.
Is sitting there in the waiting area with this huge dry erase marker, writing out the dollar value, like looking at his cell phone, writing out the dollar value on the check from Child's Play, so that Travis could get the picture.
$178,800
Dollars.
and something cents and
No cents.
no
I remember he had to handwrite the zeros over the 100. Yes, that was fun.
But yeah, and then it worked out for Joe to say, "I have a stream tonight, so you want to come hop on and
No, that's cool.
and do this as well."
And Joe, you'd already been to that or the hospital just for the carts and stuff a year or two back, right?
Yeah, it was the same hospital I toured because of the carts. It was a very different tour, though, because the tour with Gamers Outreach was very clinician-focused, where they were bringing in people who work with the kids, talking about the medical outcomes and the behavioral outcomes and the benefits, whereas this was more helping Travis get oriented around where the hospital is going to use the person in this position, because he was there funding this grant position for a technology specialist,
Have they hired that person yet, or
no,
is this they have the money now?
They've
or
narrowed
what?
it down to three people. So
Okay.
they are. It sounds like bringing them. They have done the initial screening interviews, and the next is an in-person interview. It sounded like for these three
Yeah, hopefully they'll be hired in time for your training at PAX
West. Yeah.
Ego Jordy, thank you for the raid. We're going to be mostly focused on talking with our good friend Scar here, but we are also being disrupted by Aaron S. Ferriera, tipping 5. So let's go ahead and acknowledge that.
Here
now.
it comes.
What?
So we're gonna expand the Joes, right?
No,
Let's expand the
we're
Joes.
not going to expand the Joes because wait, this is backwards for one thing. But also, we're only at $8, so we expand at $20 increments, Scar.
Chat.
That's where the abacus comes in.
I want to see this man expand.
I was gonna say we also don't really have I just kind of made the camera big already because Travis was here and I wanted the green screen effects to be visible, to both our streaming audience and our in-studio audience. Scar, this is my first stream with an in-studio audience from my new garage. I've got separate chairs and a monitor kind of pointed toward them and headphones and everything.
And I did the green screen.
You got an air conditioner in there, Joe?
There is an air conditioner in here, but it's so loud
It's
it has
too
to be
loud.
turned off during the stream. So that's part of the experiment. Is I don't know if we're gonna do the full 2 hours. If either of the kids pass out, we might call it a little bit early. But no, I do have a thermometer, and it says it's 78.7 in here right now. 35% humidity, because I've got the dehumidifier working around the clock. Outdoors, it would be well, that's the other thing I turn off when we start the stream, so you can't hear the dehumidifier right now either. But yeah.
Do you think your chat remembers the Deep Joe lore of when you were in the closet with the CO monitor to make sure you didn't get carbon dioxide poisoning?
Carbon dioxide poisoning, and that's the same device that I'm pointing at over there. It's I'm
track it all.
I'm also tracking to make sure we don't get dangerously high CO2 levels with 4 people in here.
Because that's Deep Joe lore from the past.
Well, I feel like it's always a good time to make sure you don't put other people's kids in an environment where they could pass out from lack of oxygen or too much CO2. I feel like that's just a courtesy that I should bring to the table as an artist, as a creator, as an entertainer, that sort of thing. But yeah, no, it was a problem. I was getting seriously lightheaded in this closet I was recording all the time. I'm like, why am I getting so lightheaded?
What's wrong here?
Yeah, and I was like, I noticed. I kept thinking like I was dehydrated, and so I noticed though on the days where I remembered to bring the water bottle, I would feel worse than the days where I was like, okay, guys, I got to go get some water from the kitchen, and it was because I was getting up
Getting
and
fresh
get the
air.
fresh air. Yeah, and so it was little things like that actually end up making a big difference in
Lessons
terms of.
learned along the way.
Oh yeah. So. But yeah, Scar, we were just talking about PAX and talking about Travis running the Omegathon. Did you get to watch Travis in his element running the Omegathon? Because I got to see him run the
No, but I got the
Carcassonne game.
greatest tour of PAX ever from Travis.
Oh, tell me about it.
We went on the Grand Circle tour after hours, by the way, which is the
Ooh.
absolute best. My phobia of just humans in general. So we got to see the whole floor without people, so many people like, all crowd and everything,
Like
which
the
is
expo hall
awesome.
The
Floor.
expo floor, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
the expo hall. Yeah. Yeah, it was a blast. Well, and then Travis put on the panel that we were on, and that was super cool. That was so well received. That was
It
awesome.
was a really good panel, yeah. And it was
That
fun
was-
to
that
get.
was fantastic.
We had Zach there from Gamers Outreach, and so we got to share kind of what Gamers Outreach had been doing, share about Child's Play. We had Forrest, who's one of the game techs, his position we funded at Seattle Children's Hospital. So Forrest there to share what Seattle Children's is doing with these roles, and Scar to share from the fundraising side of putting on the first stream for Gamers Outreach.
Yeah, you might have to go
Forrest-
back to PAX, Scar, and talk about your next one too. Or
Forrest is the greatest mascot for his position.
He
I think
is
you could have picked a better person. to-
no, he is about as good as you could get for this role to advocate for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great.
So, Scar, one of the highlights of my PAX Unplugged was I went and I saw Travis run the Omegathon event for Carcassonne. And I don't know if you've played much Carcassonne. It's a game about controlling the French countryside at a very basic
I thought it was
level.
gonna be best about cockroaches. You just had me going there.
No, you're thinking of La Cucaracha, which is about
Okay,
controlling
okay.
the Spanish warehouses. But anyway, so in Carcassonne, you're placing road tiles, you're placing city tiles, you're placing farm tiles. There's very few actions a player can do in the game. And you can also place little figurines called meeples to claim things, but only if they're not attached to something else somebody else has already claimed. And it was great because the people, every time somebody placed a tile, or every time a player placed a tile or a meeple, there's 4 people sitting around this board. It's really intense. Travis is commentating. Every time somebody places a tile and then ends their turn, the entire audience kind of politely golf claps, and it's just the silliest thing.
PAX Unplugged is the best.
It's just-
having video game super fan or board game super fans watch people play board games competitively.
And they just golf clap at the end of every turn. But here's the thing, though, is if somebody had an opportunity to really mess with another player and they seized it, the crowd would be like, yeah, like going nuts. But in contrast, let's say that a player could have really messed somebody else up but didn't notice it, and they just played like a normal move. No golf clap. The whole room's just dead silent. And the player just like starts looking at the board
Oh,
like
what
really
did I
nervous,
do
like,
wrong?
what did I miss? Oh no.
Well,
How
and
much trouble am I in? Like,
And they were super helpful to each other, where they were like, "Oh no, you know what? Go here, do this." And the most helpful guy actually helped himself out of the next round.
oh no.
By 1 point, helped himself out of the next round because he helped someone else claim something slightly bigger.
Yeah. It was actually a really, there were some, for the big Carcassonne fans out there were some really interesting monastery placements, and so I was literally on the edge of my seat. And it's funny too, because I was supposed to get lunch with Travis afterwards, and at some point, like, it was like maybe gonna run long, and Travis is like, "Oh, I got somewhere to be after this," and I thought about texting you like, "No, it's cool, man.
Don't worry, it'll be
I'm
okay."
in the 5th row. You can't see me because of the lights, but like, take as long as you need. This is great." But yeah. Next time you get to PAX, like, these there are definitely events at PAX, like some of the Jackbox panels or whatever. They'll bring in like the heavy hitters, like Jerry and Mike from Penny Arcade and Kate Welsh and Chris Straub, and that room will be full. But for something like this, you can go in there and you can just find a seat where you're not like within 20 feet of people. You don't have to worry about getting sick or whatever. It's low density enough for like an event like this that you could slip in the back and just enjoy it and not have to stress about like being surrounded.
Yeah, I didn't get to see too much at PAX other than the big tour we went on, because that was the first time I traveled since December 2019.
Yeah.
So I was being like ultra cautious on my body and everything. So we were just there for like the one day.
For sure. Well, anytime you're back at PAX, let me know, and I'll get you a behind the scenes expo tour anytime.
Oh yeah, man, we got to do at some point a HermitCraft thing, because the amount of Hermit fans that were there was wild.
I agree. Well, Scar. Okay, I will say I did try to get a bigger HermitCraft panel for that TCG thing. It was just Beef and I were the only ones who could make it that particular weekend. I'm gonna use a bed before we get Phantom attacked.
But that theater was full too.
That was it. I don't know if it was full, but like I think it's fair to say there were at least 200 people, maybe. It like the theater could accommodate more than 200 people, but
there's monsters.
Oh no, Scar! Get to the water.
Oh gosh, that thing came out of nowhere.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Like I'm 100% in favor of doing more cool stuff at PAX with the Hermits. It's just a matter of getting everybody out there.
Yeah, we got to plan. We got to plan on one of them where we plan a little ahead of time so everybody has a time to like plan and stuff like that, because it would be a blast.
Yeah,
so I had for the little time I was there, I had a lot of fun.
It's a fun show. PAX East this year is in May.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
it's usually in March.
Usually in March, so there's more time, and then those Euro Hermits are closer on PAX East.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to fly into Boston than Seattle. I know it's not easier for you, Scar, but it's a big group. We can't only, do stuff for you.
Let's see. Where it is? So Boston.
It's in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
It's a major port city. I know that you didn't have to take naval history in college like I did, Scar, but I can tell you all about it. I actually got to PAX East for the first time. I was actually I think it was the first PAX East. It was at the old convention center. Yeah. And I was excited. I was like, I want to go see the back bay where all these naval battles I had to study in school happened. And they're like, no, Joe, you're in the back bay. And I'm like, oh, so where's the water? It's like over there. They're like, no, you're in the back bay district. They filled the entire back bay.
They reverse flooded it.
This is
put it all in.
You are literally, you could be walking through where these ships sailed and you wouldn't know. A cannonball could have destroyed a vessel right there. And you're standing in that place. If we could Mario Kart ghost mode these naval battles, that would be a really cool VR AR game.
It's an experience.
Back bay battle, and it's just ships sailing around
over
Boston
top of actual Boston through the brownstones.
Oh my gosh, I've been having these crazy ideas for VR stuff lately that I'm like I can't. I'm like 99% sure this isn't a good idea. So I don't have the money to fund it anyway. But part of me is just like, but what if I could? Like, I don't know.
Next Hermit meeting, I'll tell you some funny stories about my connection to Boston and stuff from the olden days.
Sounds good, Scar. But yeah, PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia is also a lot more chill than the other PAXs. And even though the video gaming focus of the other PAXs might seem like that's where we belong, we do make a trading card game now.
Yeah.
And so PAX Unplugged, playing some TCG, signing some cards. Beef and I, we did that panel there, and then we did like a 2-hour signing. And 2 hours was like just about right. Like at like 10 minutes before the end, we got to the end of the line. And then like one person rushed it, or maybe 2 or 3 people rushed in like between the time we got to the end of the line.
Please don't leave.
And you guys aren't done yet. It's like, well, we're out of here on the hour to get ready for our panel, but you just caught us. So yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Got to meet some really exciting people. The blanket that actually went up for the Gamers Outreach auction came in from a fan who had made it themselves and basically was like, hey, can you guys take this back and maybe use it for a charity event? And I'm like, Beef, I literally flew here with one backpack. I have like no. Like, okay, Scar. When I go to PAX, it's like I have a backpacking sleeping bag that compresses down to like smaller than this cup. You know, it's like a serious hiking sleeping bag. I have a backpacking air mattress that's like this big. It's like when it's compressed down. And then I have my clothes, and then I also had my TCG cards. And it was just that was all I flew with. And yeah, because I can't afford a bed at a hotel.
True hermit life.
Yeah, I realized a friend asked me the other day. He's like, well, because I was like, I don't think I can afford to fly to PAX Unplugged again this year. And it's like, oh, because they're not paying for you to go again? And I'm like, what? Who would pay for me to go to PAX? He's like, well, the trading card company that you were promoting their game and they got your hotel and your flight, right? And I'm like, no, I paid for the flight out of pocket, and then I had to pay to sleep on Tyrannosaurus's floor, and like, which in fairness, he because he was an enforcer, he had a room like in the main hotel, so it was a great location,
Great spot to be.
but it was also like literally like I'm in a backpacking air mattress on the floor of somebody else's hotel room with other people in the beds. But yeah,
That's funny.
so yeah, what we
Yeah, I pack. I can get all my medical supplies, which takes up 90% of my rolling suitcase. When I drop that box, Joe, if you need medical attention, I got you. It's like a field kit.
Oh,
I could patch up people.
I appreciate it. But yeah, so I said to Beef, I was like, Beef, did you bring any actual luggage? He's like, yeah, I've got an actual suitcase. I'm like, can you fit this blanket in there? Because I cannot. That blanket. I don't know if you weren't at the event. You didn't see it. It's like a huge crocheted blanket.
Beef sent me a bunch of stuff about it before the event. Yeah.
Yeah, it was as big as like a rolling luggage. And I was just
I feel like you should have went the poncho route. You know, cut a little hole into it, put it over your head.
I just wear it.
Boom.
You just got on the airplane and then curled up in your own blanket and just, I'm here.
Yeah. I will say I've definitely had trips I've gone on where I was like, I can't fit as many clothes as I'm going to need in my bag. And I'm just going to double up on like, maybe I'll put some running shorts on under my jeans, maybe an extra couple of shirts. I'm going to have to, wash them when I get there because they're going to be sweaty, but whatever. Like, it's fine. But, oh well. But yeah, anyway, Unplugged.
The people at PAX were the best. Like the viewers that were there who made wild cool costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was like the big takeaway. Like, because after the panel we did, I think I was there for like 3.5 hours.
I think you were still running after because I had to get lunch and go do another Omegathon round.
Yeah. And then like I remember looking at the enforcer there. She was oh my god, she was so like I would never have been possible without. I feel terrible. I can't remember her name, but she got it all organized and then like helped us get out eventually because we realized like we got a train to catch.
We gotta
Oh,
get
Down to
going
Portland.
home.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, PAX could not happen without the Enforcer team. They are the amazing backbone of that show.
Yeah.
I completely agree. It is one of the
Omegathon
most
shenanigans couldn't happen without the Enforcer team.
It's one of the most impressively and professionally run shows or series of shows that I've been a part of, and I'm always impressed by the Enforcers every time I get there. That was kind of one of the things I was trying to explain to some of the hermits was they were like, we had a really good support team with like at the Gamers Outreach event where they had like a dedicated security staff and all this other stuff. And I was like, well, the thing is, we don't necessarily need to bring in outside contractors for some of this because the enforcers at PAX already keep an eye on things in a way that like, is above and beyond what a normal convention volunteer is. You wouldn't expect a normal convention volunteer to do the things an enforcer does, and yeah, I really...
Dude, they dropped to the ground and were putting tape lines on the ground with like in a second. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, we pulled out of the theater and they went, what if we just do a meet and greet over here? Mm-hmm. And by the time I made it out the theater, there was a whole snaked out queue line set for them to... Everybody in here, get going, line up, let's get moving.
Yeah, if there's one thing that PAX can do, it is they can establish a queue.
Yes.
I've got so many great memories of hanging out with friends in line at PAX and just sitting around and playing games. And I really hope all of our viewers, this is a few takeaways from today. 1, local children's hospitals looking for volunteers. 2, hanging out with your friends at conventions, just sitting around and playing games. Like, I found that the events that I went to where I wasn't queuing for panels and things like that, I was actually too tired to enjoy the convention. It was actually a nice kind of change of pace. Like, okay, we're going to sit around here for an hour and play games on the floor, and then we'll go and do the panel, and then we'll go do
Hear
something
this panel
else.
for an hour, and now we've rested for 2.
Yeah, and now we're like, let's hit the expo hall, let's do a tournament, let's do this, let's do that, that sort of thing. And yeah, I really want to encourage people to try and get out to local events, even if you don't have a PAX in your neck of the woods. I'm constantly surprised that the other day, one of my local gaming shops posted like, "Hey, we're gonna be at a KaiCon, running some games," and I'm like, "A KaiCon?
What is that?
What is that?" And it's like, it's in Lebanon, Tennessee, and which is like, it's about a half hour outside of town, right? And it's at this big convention center there that doesn't have a hotel, which is the most obnoxious thing. I've been to a few events there, and it's frustrating not having a hotel on site. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, well, this is cool that this convention center in the middle of, well, it's not the middle of nowhere. It's a half hour side of Nashville, but like, when you can start leaving Nashville, core concept. I'm like, well, this is cool that people are, pioneering new things. That's exciting. And then I go to the About page, and they're like, founded a decade ago in 2014. I'm like, these guys have been operating a half hour away for 10 years.
And you had no idea.
And I had no idea. And I regularly will like try to look for stuff happening in the area that's like might be worth tabling at or whatever. And I think it maybe because I think it was originally more framed as a anime focused event. And so it didn't catch my radar, but like they're expanding into gaming more than just anime. But like there's stuff all around you, and like, yeah, you gotta connect with your local gaming scene as much as you can. Because I hadn't gone into this game store the other day and started talking to the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, we got a Discord, check it out." And I'm looking at the stuff in the Discord. I'm like, "There's all these things happening. I didn't know." It's wild. Anime is what the kids call Japanimation, which is how my parents described Speed Racer to me when I was a child. But anyway, I think we lost Scar.
Dude, I found the
there we go.
funniest clip on Twitter. Oh my god, it's Skiz. Oh man.
Okay.
Oh, I'm still hooting and hollering.
Scar's just on his
I had
phone.
to mute myself. I was laughing so hard. Skiz, you don't want to catch that man when he doesn't realize he's on camera. Whew.
Yeah. He keeps assuming for some reason that we're not streaming or recording, even though we're all constantly streaming and recording. And like, I don't know if that's because like when he did his stuff with Impulse, like they were never like streaming it. It was usually like, except for Faz or whatever. But like when they were doing their Minecraft series together, they would always just kind of do it in advance.
Imp and Skiz was pre-recorded.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is all pre-recorded. And so he just doesn't have that mindset of like, oh, the people can hear me. Hulier, Minister of Parliament, says, hee, Skiz is a fun addition to this HermitCraft season. I agree, Hulier, Minister of Parliament.
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree.
Especially when he doesn't know anybody's recording or streaming. That is the funniest.
Extrema88 says, gotta give props to the enforcers who handled the autograph session for Joe and Beef, the help with pictures, and keep the line moving smoothly. Oh yeah, they did a great job.
And provided pens? I bet they provided pens.
I actually brought Sharpies, but yeah.
From the TCG cards?
Well, yeah. Because, well, also, like, anytime I go to one of these conventions... So, Scar, you live in the Pacific Northwest. You've probably heard of Costco. At one point, I needed to buy some Sharpies.
Let me tell you about Mr. Kirkland.
I need a Sharpie.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when we had... Remember when Mumbo came to Nashville, and so did you?
Yeah?
I went to Costco to buy Sharpies for that, and I will never not have Sharpies again. I think it was like an 80-pack. It was like $20. It was one of those things, like if I had gone to Office Max, $20 would have gotten me like 4 Sharpies or something. And I was like, well, I can't not buy this many Sharpies. Like, that would be irresponsible. Yeah, no, and so that was the thing too, is Yeah, it was funny because that was also happening kind of like during kind of the early stages of my divorce, and my ex-wife at one point like opens this drawer, and it's just like full of Sharpies, and it's just like, and what are these for? And I was like, oh, for assigning a bunch of the hermits coming to Nashville for this Minecraft thing, and she was just like, well, I hope somebody shows up for it, and I was like.
Wow.
Well, and I was
Me
like, oh,
too.
actually, we had it a few weeks ago, and yeah, hundreds of people showed up in 97-degree weather in the park, and False and Scar both could have died.
Which is very true.
But yeah, so that's the thing is, like, after that event, I have not okay, so after that event, I have like I probably have like 80 orange cones. Scar, because of your wheelchair, you might not have gotten around to see how I had set up the queue.
I saw
Which
it.
I
I saw
learned
it. I've
from-
had experience rounding people
PAX
up. I was
queue?
impressed
Yeah,
by the whole situation.
Yeah, because you guys had the tape, but the thing
I
is,
organized dog shows and set them up in the past. There's lines and dogs. Well, we
Yeah.
didn't have dogs there, but lines of humans.
So yeah, I had set up this zigzagging queue of cones, and I had volunteers. Well, no, not volunteers. No, I paid everybody. What do you call those people?
Employees.
I had contractors.
Hermit enforcers.
I had contractors come in, which basically was me texting my siblings, "Hey, do you have any like basically unemployed friends who can show up here at this park and hand people water bottles and then accept trash and make sure they stay in line for $20 an hour?" And they're like, "Yes, I have a lot of nearly unemployed friends. Let me send them out."
I think one of them had a tuxedo shirt on, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Just like a t-shirt, but with the tuxedo print. I was like, that is
Oh,
great.
and I got everybody like little traffic vests, even though they were like on a field,
In
but
the
like
park?
it clearly identified that like they were staff, but I think
You
it.
gave that to my brother.
Yeah, I asked your brother if he wanted one.
My brother was so done at that point. He spent so long on the phone with the Nashville Police Department trying to get it like somebody, just like one little like security guy there or whatever. And at that point, and he was on the phone for, I think it was the
spent,
first
like, a
day
whole
and
day.
the second day. And at that point, he was so done. Oh God, that was so funny. He's like, I think I'm done.
As long
Did you
as
know Mumbo saved my life?
no,
I always say.
Oh,
After that, freight absolutely wiped out, and I call it like the Uber. We all jam into the Uber, and I'm in like a dazed state when we pull into the like up to the hotel, and one of the hotel guys comes over, just like they would do, open a door, but I'm like passed out on the door.
Oh no.
And Mumbo's standing there, and as the guy opens the door, I just come flailing out like a flying squirrel.
No, I didn't know that.
And like Mumbo and Iskall, I think, both catch me before I hit like the concrete.
Whew. That's scary.
So Mumbo saved me
I'm glad.
on that trip.
Yeah.
Wow, I just thought you were very warm and I didn't know that there was actually you got that close. Wow. 'Cause-
I was heading right for that curb.
yeah.
So I always say,
Oh, jeez.
good on Mumbo. He saved me.
Yeah. Well, and so one of the things I got a separate battery-powered fan for each of the people that was going to be signing. We had several hermits.
Oh, no.
We had Stress Monster, we had Scar, we had Iskall, we had False, we had Wells Knight, we had Mumbo, we had me. That's 7 hermits, I think. And the thing is, Scar's medical devices all started overheating. So we had to point all
the
7
fans.
fans at Scar's
All
stuff.
the fans.
And yeah, so one thing that's one of my takeaways is buy twice as many fans as you think you'll need.
Maybe just indoors.
Yeah, that's the other trick.
That was
That's
the
a
other
secret.
thing. No. I asked. I fought so hard for indoors because I live here and I know better. And I was like, guys, I can rent a theater that can handle 195 people for a few $100. And everybody's like, no, what if something goes wrong? Like we just need to do this in a public place where we can just melt away. and
And we literally melted.
and I'm like, well, you're gonna melt away. But yeah, they were. I fought repeatedly for indoor venue, but nobody wanted to commit to it, and no.
Nobody would commit to anything until the day before or whatever. I was like, if we want to do this, we probably should get it going.
Organizing the hermits is a challenge.
It's better than it used to be. I've experienced now organizing 2 massive events, so that it's getting better, I think.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you kind of took the lead on that first charity event, because it would not have happened if you didn't have that kind of unity of vision that is necessary. Like, somebody has to say, I'm doing this whether y'all like it or not. Come stop me.
Come
if
be
you
here.
can. No, it's like if you don't want this to happen, I'm moving forward. If you just do nothing, it is going to happen. You need to actively spend energy opposing me to stop it. And nobody has that.
First time I pitched that charity stream was when we were in a meeting on the 2nd week of Hermit's modded series in 2016. And it got shot down. I was like, oh, well, we have to do that. There was just a lot of back and forth. It wasn't like we weren't wanting to do it. It was just like everybody just kind of chiming in. And then I mentioned it like 2 other times. And then I'm like, Skiz would say, you just have to own it and people can follow if they want or don't want to follow.
It. Yeah. And so that's the thing is, when Score had initially pitched this, because I think I was there for that meeting, and Score's like, is it okay if we do this? And then it's like, one of the Europeans was like, well, let's talk about the ethics of charity versus tax-based assistance. Because I think that we have a stronger obligation to reform our societies rather than
a hermit stream.
And it was just... And so that's the thing is, you never ask, is this the right thing to do? Is this okay? You say, hey guys, I'm doing something great. Let's all get involved.
And it'd be fun if you came along.
Exactly.
Do you remember? There's the same meeting I said we should make a logo. We still don't have a HermitCraft logo.
I have nothing nice to say about that
HermitCraft
subject.
big text not an official logo?
No.
Oh.
No, that's just something that somebody threw together that we still like. It's derived. Like there's some questionable claims about
the Minecraft font.
Yeah, and the original Minecraft logo was derived from the same open source font that we're using, but so they didn't really license it properly either. It's like a whole nightmare.
It's just gray enough that they can't come poke you.
Well, but that's also why we don't sell HermitCraft merch.
Oh.
You might have noticed
that's true. Now that I connect these dots that I hadn't thought previously.
Yeah, there's yeah. What else can we tell Travis that nobody knows?
Dude, I remember that meeting so well. Oh my god, because we were also arguing about chunk loaders and who could have or couldn't have chunk loaders.
This is
but
why
I remember
our
my
meetings
2
go for
topics.
3 hours.
I feel like we've been better about that in the last while.
You say that. Okay, I'll let you finish. Sorry.
I feel like we've been better. Yeah, it was chunk loaders, and then I come in, they're like, hey, when we do this charity stream, how about a logo? And then the ethics of charity, should we work towards reforming society? And it was like, my argument was, well, we could do both. We could help people now and also advocate for that.
Yeah, I remember basically saying the same thing. It's like, well, if you have 2 problems, or you have the same problem, manifesting at different scales, oh hey, this person has a virus and it's backing up mucus into their throat, so they're gonna suffocate. Yes, we need to deal with the virus, but we also need to clear their throat.
Let them breathe.
And let them breathe long enough. We're not saying the virus isn't a problem. I don't think that was exactly the metaphor I used, but it was something similar, where I was like,
oh man, good times back in those days. Whew.
With Scar.
I do think we are way more cohesive, I think, than in those days. It's just kind of everyone's just throwing something out in those days. It's just... Oh god.
It felt a bit of a
funny.
unit the time I got to come on and talk to the Hermits about Child's Play. It felt like there was a plan there.
I will say,
Yeah.
let's real quickly mention. So Travis, you live on the West Coast, and so that is 2 hours behind where I live here in Tennessee. In Tennessee, we have our HermitCraft meetings every Thursday at 2 p.m. So calling in from Seattle, that will put you at noon. But as I recall, you weren't in Seattle that day.
No, I was in Australia. We had just done a check presentation to Sydney Children's Hospital to fund a game tech position there, and then moved on down to Melbourne to do PAX Australia. And it was, I think, 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, and I think you had your family in the hotel
I
room too,
had
so you're like trying to be quiet.
My younger son with me, still asleep in bed while I was trying to have the meeting.
And it's just like, I'm really excited to tell you about these game technologist positions.
It's really absurd.
No. Everybody agreed you did a great job of presenting your case, but like it was also like you're not a professional actor who could just like snap his fingers and be like, and now I'm awake. You know what I mean? Like it's
I can do it pretty well normally, but boy, international
4:30
travel
in
throws
Australia. Yeah, no, we were just like,
throws a whole set of loops.
Yeah. Oh boy. But no, we really did appreciate you coming out and talking to us, or calling in and talking to us, because, yeah, as a group, like, we have a hard time committing to anything. Even just, like, agreeing to have you on was, like, yeah.
You should see the discussion about updating the server to 1 dot whatever we were at.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It is a nightmare. Okay. I'm not going to give the viewers too much information, but there's been this whole argument about whether or not we should update the server for like the last week. And finally, Asuma goes, well, you know, it's not like it's that big a jump. We're just going to 1.20.6. And everybody's like, wait, have we been arguing about going to 1.20.6 or 1.21 for the last week?
Dude,
And
I still don't know. Which one has the armadillo?
Screaming externally.
I don't know. I don't know which one has the armadillo versus which one has the trial chambers. Nobody can explain it to me, and I have asked.
I basically just said we need to upgrade to 121, and I don't care what breaks. And a lot of other people said, well, my workflow, it does matter what breaks. It's like, you know, what breaks will impact my workflow too. I use replay mod for all sorts of stuff, for example. But like, honestly, at this point, like, we just gotta kind of be willing to take the plunge on stuff. Like, we can't let these mod makers dictate the tempo of our video production.
Holding it hostage.
Yeah, because, like, okay, so this is how, well, because people will be like, oh, yeah, you know, I want to make something as big as HermitCraft one day, or whatever. And I'm like, start today, because you're 6 weeks ahead of us on this update. Do it now. We can't make a video with an armadillo, and you can. Go. Get a wind mace. We don't have a wind mace. Now is your moment.
Not an armadillo guy, but I'm excited for Cub to finally get his armadillos.
He is very excited.
That man's very excited about the armadillos. And I'd hope he would be as excited as I am if I would have got my prize penguin.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well. One day, Scar. We'll make it. It's just kind of one of those things, like, see, yeah, it's fine. Hey, I got a tip rolling in. Let me see who that's from. Thank you very much. Oh, wait, no, that's the one from Aaron earlier. Oh, hey, we got another one coming in from Alexandria for 20. Thank you, Alexandria. That is going to get us 8 past our first face camera expansion milestone. I guess there's a little bit of room on either
We
side.
can wiggle a little bit here.
We can, yeah, hold on. We're going to see how this goes. Expand Joe, and also Travis, the executive director of Child's Play, and also the chief Omegathon. Yay. Yeah, we also realized, like, I was, like, trying to point the light at Travis. I am, like, super pale, apparently, because, Scar, it gets very hot here in Tennessee this time of year. I'm just not going outside during the day.
Yeah.
Which is not to say I don't go outside, but, like...
Just vampire hours.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, my viewers, they've seen me read Dracula. They know what's what. But, yeah... like, Travis is looking a lot healthier than I am.
I got to spend the day poolside today after the hospital visit, so I've got a fresh glow.
Oh, boy, yeah, I was looking at that, I was like, I am not getting enough sun. This could not be healthy.
I've been getting a little sun on the off-road wheelchair. Joe, we gotta get you out.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a lot of fun.
We do have
Ooh,
cooler
you could bring that to
summers.
Dollywood, maybe, to get up those hills.
Oh, dude, we could run over children with it. Nobody will stop me from getting to those cinnamon rolls.
It is a long queue for the cinnamon rolls.
I know you got a rope drop the cinnamon rolls from the video that I watched on YouTube.
Yep. Oh boy.
But oh, Travis, how like the this is hilarious that at my hospital under occupation it just says internet.
For your
So-
for your job
role?
in your file.
Yeah, and so people ask what that is, and then one day I didn't really have much to say, and I was just kind of tired. I'm like, I make videos. This person was kind of condescending, like, "Oh, you make videos? Oh, that's cute."
charming.
And then I was like, "Wait, no, you know those carts in the pediatric department? The group I'm in put those there." And then they're like, "Oh," it was like, so that's my new thing. How I get them to take it serious. I thought it
I
was
make
pretty
videos
funny.
to put carts here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, how's the child life specialist doing? Like, because you were telling me about them. They're still there at OHSU at Dornbecker.
They just
Portland?
hired their new person. So the person that they did have left, their wife had a baby and he became a stay-at-home dad.
Okay.
But they just brought their new game tech on board, and we're
Oh,
excited.
sweet. And so that's like they're keeping that
keeping
role.
the
and-
role, yes, yeah.
Nice.
And so
Okay,
we're
perfect.
excited. They at PAX West, their game tech will come up and join our second game tech certification course, and get a chance to do Child's Play's put together a training certification for these roles to help get them started. So they'll be in it for let's see, it'll be by the time September rolls around, just about half a year, I think, from their hire dates. But yeah, have the new person there. We'll have everything seems to be going well with Vanderbilt, so we'll have their game tech there.
I'm really excited
That's
to see
awesome.
what they do with that.
Yeah.
It's great to see that, because like there's these like lounges and playrooms and stuff. They've got not just Switches, but they've got like Wii U.
There's a
and Nintendo
Wii U
Wiis.
and a Wii.
And I'm like, you gotta have somebody who knows like somebody in that role could go to McKay's. I don't know if you guys have an equivalent. It's like a used media store,
No.
and it's like it's hard to describe. Like it's kind of built like a warehouse. It's like just gigantic, and it's like 3 stories tall. But they only have like shelves on like the first floor basically, and the whole rest of it is just so the heat can rise because it's very hot here. And
As established.
and so it's like a really tall warehouse building, and it's just all these books and DVDs and movies and all these old games and stuff. And so the idea is that somebody who knows what they're doing can get that Wii running, can get that Wii U
Right.
running, and go in there with like $15 and walk out with a bunch of great games, that are age appropriate for different groups. Also, real quick, Tilly the Hun, thank you for tipping 20. That is going to get us 8 past that
Go,
next
Tilly.
gamer expansion milestone. So here we go. We're going to expand Joe and Travis.
I feel like I have to scoot in more so we can
Yeah,
expand more.
I was going to say that's going to mess up your mic.
That's okay. I'll scooch it as well. No, I won't.
That is not going to... No. Go back where you were and I'll fix it. Here we go. Expand us. Do. And then, yeah, okay. See, I'll just be kind of over here a little bit. I can lean in more without my mic. Yeah, you're good. Whew. Okay, so, but yeah, having somebody who's like in that position who can just say like, oh, hey, we have certain assets here that might be underused, and we're gonna make the most of them. Because
it might also be this Wii's been sitting here for a really long time. We could just take it out and put a Switch in now.
I mean, yeah, I guess if they have the budget for it, if
Yeah.
you guys are sending them Switches,
Well, it'll be fun to see what they do with the annual gift from Child's Play every year now as well.
Yeah, because they're going to have somebody who can actually spend time to implement ideas. So that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that still it's continuation of it at OHSU. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, we were excited when we first learned that he was leaving to go be a stay-at-home dad. We went, what's going to happen to the role? And they went, don't worry, we're posting it and getting it ready to go. Have hired.
That's
so
fantastic.
yeah, I have not had a chance to get down to Portland to meet him yet. So if I don't get down there this summer before PAX. We'll get a chance to meet him at PAX when he comes up for the course.
Yeah, I really want to see some of those carts also. I want to see some of them go to the adult side. I want to see like 2 of them roll over to the adults.
I mean, that is the piece with Able Gamers, right? Theirs is not specifically pediatric focused. Child's Play being specifically pediatric focused, that would be like, well, no, it's got to stay on that side over there. But yeah, that would definitely be a piece to look at and say, hey, we want to put some over here so that these are also available. We've seen a lot of interest in even the certification that we're putting together with hospitals. A good number of the children's hospitals we support are children's hospitals inside adult hospitals. And sort of from the adult side of going, we'd like to put someone through this training as well.
Just because you cross the sky bridge doesn't mean you don't like
That's
to play
right.
games anymore.
Games still exist. They're still important.
Yeah, that's yeah. I'm happy that position's. Yeah, I was wondering how they were doing, and that knowing, that's cool becoming a dad, and knowing also the position is filled again, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to know if there's a map of all the hospitals.
There is on. So let's see. This is me remembering.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm flipping through your website.
I believe
now.
it's on the About page that you have linked. If you scroll down,
I looked there and I didn't see it.
If you go to the main homepage,
Main
childsplaycharity.org,
okay.
There is the hospital map right at the top. It took a moment to load in, but the little wireframe controller.
You need the Explore map.
Explore map.
Okay, yeah, let me post a link to that real quick. Fandom Seeker says, yeah, it is a bit of a whiplash aging out of the child side. Well, Scar, I bet that if you talk to Able Gamers, they would be very excited to hear from you.
Dude, I went feet and hands first out of that children's hospital. The only regret was the games.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is an interesting transition.
Yeah, and we get people who ask all the time. I mean, we'll get game donations from companies and look kind of like, what all can you take? Can you take, only up to T or E10 or what else? And we remind them that sometimes people are in the children's side of the children's hospital into their early 20s even, because it's been their lifelong care team since birth, and it's just sort of an easier place for them to get care still. So we don't have quite as much use for the rated M games, but we do send a couple to every hospital. Sort of, yeah, we got a handful of, here's some games that your 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds will still want to play.
Yeah, I think Gamers Outreach said some hospitals have a policy like the older kids can play those, but only like if they shut the door to their room. They don't want little kids going past and seeing Call of Duty and being like, did that helicopter smash into the countryside? Are the pilots okay? That's not.
Yeah,
I mean, they're children. They don't know all the names of the jobs in the helicopter.
And also, like, will the patient be able to access the internet? Will they be able to play with just people in the hospital via like the console or outside? Like, yeah, there's all sorts of.
And that was
it depends. At least I found from hospital to hospital, kind of chooses.
Yeah, that was something for Gamers Outreach. They were saying when we did the tour last time that they had to rig up the carts so that they could basically have like hardware switches for the network.
Yeah.
And because, they didn't trust the kids to not go into settings and turn Wi-Fi back on.
All the new consoles want internet and want Wi-Fi. And the thing that they learned was to make a switchback with just the Cat5 plug.
Yeah.
Where they send the cables back around on itself.
Yeah, loop back.
And so it's a little loop back cable you plug into the back, and it tricks the console into thinking, oh, I'm plugged into a network. Myself, but it's a network. I don't need the Wi-Fi.
Well, this is actually one of the points in favor of getting the GameCubes and the Wii U's. And
they don't need it?
They don't need it. And they had a lot more couch multiplayer. So, when you talk about having siblings or parents playing with the kids, I feel like there is a place, for the NES Classic, cart, that sort of thing. Yeah, the Switch can run those games, but the NES Classic doesn't need the internet. It doesn't need updates. It's just
We are in the process of trying to advocate for hospitals to get all of their systems online for a couple of reasons. One is things like Game Pass that let them have access to virtually an unlimited library of games where they don't need discs that are a real pain, but also letting them play online with their kids, their friends and things like that. But also because yes, systems are going that way, and it will be hard to stay on top of new system releases, because the way that the game companies are going is to a over the air game system, not making discs anymore.
well. Let me counterpoint this real quick. There's one particularly high dollar industry that wants video game consoles that don't connect to the internet, and that's the United States Department of Defense. They're going to want to be able to send PlayStation 6s over to Korea.
True.
And have people be able to play them in tents or whatever, without necessarily having the internet. They might have power, but they might not necessarily have network connectivity consistently. And so it feels like there could be some sort of uneasy alliance there between the Department of Defense and these children's hospitals to be like, look, Microsoft, just don't require the internet, please.
Yeah. But
Microsoft had that with the submarines when they were like, and it's always going to be connected. And they're like,
we're
like the submarine guy's like, nah.
Yeah, but on the side of the PlayStation, what is theirs called? I never remember it because I'm an Xbox owner. So it's Game Pass on the Xbox, and it's I hope PlayStation's not listening in.
PlayStation Plus.
PlayStation Plus. Like, we still love your stuff at Child's Play. I just am an Xbox side. But being able to have an Xbox that is ready to go with whatever child is in the room to say, oh, you're here. We can put on a set of age-appropriate games for you. And when you check out of this room, we can just go delete those games and have the next set ready to go for the next child that comes into the room is something we hope we'll see. And we're seeing that is our silver lining post-COVID, is hospitals are more understanding about the importance of having their things connected, because hospital admin had to do Zoom meetings and see people on iPads. So now they understand, oh, a kid might want to be on an iPad and talk to their friends or connect their Xbox and play games with their classmates. I had to do that, or my kid did that, and that was important. And so that's our COVID silver lining at Child's Play is it is opening up more, but it'll be very slow. Hospitals are slow to move on those things.
Smuggler says, when I was in a hospital, they had an old arcade machine with just a few buttons and a joystick. I enjoyed playing those old games. We saw a couple of those today, and one of them was functional, and the other one will be part of the game tech's job to get working again.
Hopefully get working. It's at least these ones are just kind of emulator ROMs
those
in
things
the background.
Dead simple.
So they're
like you could take that apart if you had a few hours. But that's the thing, is nobody who works there has a few hours to open up this arcade machine and get it working.
And if it's your thing, if you're a child life specialist, who is the person responsible for it now, who's trained to teach child age appropriate, understandings of the surgery they're about to go through, they're not ready to open up a console or an arcade cabinet in the back and figure out why the ROM isn't working anymore.
Yeah, there's I wish I remembered. This is the sort of thing I should have prepared better. But when I saw that, it reminded me when I was at Chicago Pinball Expo a couple of years ago. There were people doing a fundraiser for like local charity. I think it might have been in Chicago, because Chicago's a big pinball city.
Yeah,
that's where they do all the manufacturing. So you've got guys who are like retired pinball assembly line guys and stuff, and they can take apart a machine, put them back together. They have personal collections because they've been buying old broken games and fixing them up, and they had some sort of local charity there where they would bring pinball machines into hospitals for kids to play, and they would come out once a week and repair them and swap out the machine every so often. And that's really cool, but these are 350-pound machines, and you really need guys who can like maintain
Maintain it.
That's like
yeah.
I was gonna say I don't think do any of your techs do pinball maintenance.
Probably not. I mean, I say probably not, and then at this point, someone will hear this later and be
I'd
like, "I do our
excuse
pinball
me,
maintenance,
I posted
sir."
on the Slack 15 times that I was doing this pinball thing, and nobody
I'm
thumbed
just not
it
in
up.
the pinball channel. I didn't know. But no, I mean, pinball machines are often things that people get donated into children's hospitals because of that passion, and you know, either they sort of have spares or they think this would be great and are fun things to have in playrooms, but do need specialized care, and even just having the time to figure out who's the person we contact to get this thing repaired is the kind of thing a game tech would do, even if they're not doing the managing themselves of, I can open this back up and fix the bumpers. And
and that's the thing, though, is there's like multiple tiers of pinball maintenance. Sorry, I'm going to get nerdy here. But like, for example, the ball can just get stuck behind Mecha Godzilla's arm in the Godzilla machine. So you just open the glass, reach in there, take the ball, put it back,
drop it in and go.
And you're good. But then there's also like, okay, well, this pop bumper is just broken and we need to replace the whole assembly. So now you're actually like going under the machine and unscrewing things. And that's a different level of comfort, you know.
Yeah, they could probably chase a ball down for sure.
Yeah. And like, I mean, because that's the thing is like at this point, like most bartenders can open up the glass, pull it out,
get the ball moving.
Yeah. But I wouldn't feel comfortable. Not that I have an extra pinball machine. But like, you know, even if I did, I wouldn't feel comfortable without having some sort of support network in place. Like, here's the phone number on the back glass, like
call here if needed.
Or it would say something like maintenance number on file with so and so in IT department, call IT at #357.
In a slightly similar fashion, we got a bunch of Xbox One kiosks to go in like Best Buy electronic stores, kind of display style kiosks from Microsoft.
So real quick, is Xbox One still new, and were these relatively new? Okay,
this was after the next series of the S and X series was coming out.
Okay,
so they were pulling their Xbox One
so
kiosks
this was the previous gen
to put put the next kiosk in, and they said, hey, do you want these? And we got 8 of them from them, and we took them and we distributed them to some local hospitals around Seattle because shipping them would be a real pain to get over here.
Oh yeah.
But one of the things that we did was we got all of them have a key to, you know, lock the cabinet up and get things plugged back in and everything else. But we kept one spare copy of that key. And every single hospital that we have given a kiosk to has said, we've lost that key. Do y'all still have one of those? And I go, yes, I have a spare. I'll come by your hospital. I'll open up what you need. And then I'll talk to your lock guy so that he can get the key and make a copy of it so you all have your own. But I'm taking this one home because someone will need it again.
Oh, jeez.
But we luckily got one more key than, you know, one of the boxes came with 2 keys on the key ring instead
I
of
was
one.
assuming that you went to the hardware store and cut it
made
yourself.
one. No, we probably would have had we not had a spare, but knowing that a key will disappear inside a hospital and someone will go, the controllers came unplugged because a kid yanked hard.
Oh my gosh.
And we need to plug the USB back in. What do we do?
Yeah. Oh, that's scary. Hey, Jono Smithers. That is Ren Diggity Dog's brother joining us in the Twitch chat there. Scar, can you still hear us? He's now looking over like, can I see the
Can I see chat?
You actually did look directly.
Looked right at the
you
chat.
looked right at Jono's
Where's
name.
Jono?
He's in the he's in my
Where's my future John Williams? Where is he?
John Williams, of course, is the famous director who did the soundtrack for Jaws.
That's right. John's gonna be the next John Williams. I'm calling it.
There was a Jaws pinball game that just came out, and the guy who designed the playfield is considered like one of the best playfield designers of all time. And he was in an interview, and they're like, "Yeah, we think you did a pretty good job of the playfield, you know, but you always do." I gotta say though, the soundtrack on this one, you absolutely nailed it, man. You killed it on the soundtrack, and the designer's just like, I feel like I should share the credit with John Williams on that. You know.
I didn't compose this so much.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I did help with the sound design to, you know, pull things together, but, you know, that's not my music, you know.
Oh, he has a Deathloop. Oh no, what is this?
Deathloop coming out.
Oh, he acted quick.
sneak peek, Skiz and I just recorded something where we created like a 30 block deep crater of creeper holes of depth
no.
looping. So there'll be a sequel to that one.
So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Okay,
That's funny.
we are coming up on the 2-hour mark in this increasingly warm garage. So, Scar, do you have any last minute stuff you want to say to Travis before we wrap up?
No, I realized I got to go keep working my video before my surgery. So yeah, no, it was awesome checking up again.
Yeah, good
Travis.
chatting with you.
You ever need anything up in Seattle with anything? Always hit me up.
All right, I'll
I'm always
reach out
around.
to you, and if you have a PAX, if you plan on coming, let me know, and I'll get you another exclusive tour.
Oh, I love my exclusive short. Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good rest of the day.
All right,
Goodbye.
good to see ya.
All right. So before we wrap up the show, I want to go ahead and make sure that we do a good job of plugging Travis. I have already posted the final call for tips. Just as a reminder, we are $12 away from the next Face Camera expansion milestone. I'm not really too worried about tips this stream, though. I kind of wrote this one off. I budgeted for this. I was like, that's part of the charity. We're not gonna hit the tipping thing too hard. But yeah, if you want to learn more about Travis's work at Child's Play Charity, I'm gonna go ahead and link childsplaycharity.org/about. Is there anything else is there anything in particular, any initiatives that you want me to promote or link? Do you guys have Tumblr, Twitter, anything else?
We have our socials at the bottom.
Well, let me go get
we're
those.
real bad at bragging about ourselves.
So here's your
So
YouTube.
here's a good chance. We got a YouTube channel. One of the fun things, if you're interested at all in this game tech space, we have 2 playlists. We've done we have a pediatric gaming and technology symposium that we host in partnership with Children's Colorado, and we have a couple years worth of videos now. Well, years sounds like there's lots of video, but years of symposiums where we have video.
Oh, sorry.
2003.
Sorry, you have a Twitch page that
We have a
autoplays.
Twitch page that autoplays.
Yeah.
We need
Do-
to update
do you
that video
stream-
because
do you
that's
s-
our old video.
Do you stream on Twitch very often? I see.
We started it a little
3
bit.
years ago was your most
Yeah,
recent
we
highlight or
we
upload.
were doing it a little bit during the COVID time.
Well, if you ever need people to come on your show,
Yeah, we
I'm
may.
sure Scar would want to return the favor. No, I'll show up too.
Yeah. We may have to get it live again. At least we need to get on and put the updated animation with our new logo on it. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there. My
sorry.
Heights Child's Play jumped out so fast it startled me. Well, just I will extend the thank you to you for having me on, coming and joining me this morning to do the hospital visit, and just a chance to come on and share and chat about Child's Play. And I'm super excited that with a game tech here, I've got an excuse to get back to Nashville on Child's Play business, checking in, and then can check in as well.
Yeah, I was really I'm going to say I was surprised when I got your email. Because even though I've done fundraisers for Child's Play in the past with Draw 4 and with Mercy Road, I hadn't done anything with y'all in the last like 18 months or so. And so I kind of felt like, oh man, I don't know if I deserve to go to this. But like I was very excited.
On our end, we want to make sure that Vanderbilt is being taken care of. You helping get them carts is good. The letting them get to meet you and see you and maybe making something happen there. Maybe
Yeah, that was funny how the guy who runs their studio was mentioning like wait, did you say you're Joe Hills? Do you make Minecraft videos? Because my intern won't shut up about asking me to contact you to come in here and do stuff.
My intern who had the day off today, so he can't meet
So
you.
he can't. Yeah, enjoy your day off, intern. Hey, that guy might be watching this right now.
He might be on the stream. If you're that guy.
If you're that guy, I gave your boss my business email. He wrote it down on a piece of paper. I didn't look at it to make sure he spelled it right. But
He spelled it out loud.
oh, you're right. He actually
He double checked.
yeah. So unless he like was writing Q's when he was saying L's, you're probably fine. But yeah, so we might be doing something with that later. I think we're gonna go ahead. Speaking of accessibility, some of y'all might have seen the unofficial HermitCraft recap, and one of their accessibility efforts was bringing on Liara to handle all their captions. Liara is currently streaming. What is the name of this game? GeoGuessr.
GeoGuessr.
It's like I've seen this game 1,000 times, and I'm like, MapQuest.
Guess the name of this game.
MapQuest sounds like it should be the name of this game, but that's a different thing.
That would have been a great thing for MapQuest to pivot to.
Yeah. The thing is, if MapQuest had access to the Google API at that point, they wouldn't have failed.
True.
Oh well. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to raid Liara. I'm not going to stick around for that raid, but y'all send some good wishes Liara's way. Thank you so much again.
Thank you again, chat. Thanks for hanging out and hearing about Child's Play and putting up with me taking over a bit of the stream this evening.
I was probably more productive than I would have been otherwise. So, yeah.
There was a good mountain clearing until Scar got here.
Yeah, it always is. Until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee, joined in studio by Travis Erikson. Any final words, Travis?
No, thank you again. Check out childsplaycharity.org to learn more about what we're doing. And our emails you can find my email on the page, on the About page Joe linked, and you can shoot me an email if you have a question. I'll respond. Not this week because I'm visiting hospitals, but next week.
And it's about to auto-raid. Keep adventuring. Bye!